What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. And today we're getting into my Week 18 NFL predictions. So let's dive right into this here. First, with the Week 17 picks, what I got right and what I got wrong from this week. It was kind of a rough one for me. It's not been this way for a while, but anyway, let's dive into this. Starting out with the Browns-Jets game. Did get that one right. The Browns, Joe Flacco and them clinched the 5 seed in the AFC. Also, a crazy one on Saturday between the Cowboys and the Lions. Cowboys get a big-time win to move to 11-5 on the season. If we look at the Falcons, Bears got that one wrong. Unfortunately, Atlanta not able to pull off the upset there. The Bears seem like the clear better team in that one. Did get the Colts game right, though, over Las Vegas. That score was a little bit closer than what it says, but the Colts did pull off a big one in that one. Moving on, got the Rams game right over the Giants. Rams played a good game in that one. Almost got upset by New York, but got a little bit lucky in the end to pull that one off. Did get Tennessee, though, wrong over Houston. This was before I thought that C.J. Stroud was not going to be playing. He wound up playing, didn't change it in time. I'll own up to that loss. Titans lose. Patriots, Bills. Did get this one right. A little bit closer than I anticipated, but Bills win. Did get the Eagles one wrong, though. The Cardinals came out, pull off a big upset in that one. Did get Tampa Bay, though, right over New Orleans. Wrong. Wrong over New Orleans. Tampa Bay struggling performance, give credit to New Orleans in that one. Did get San Francisco right, though, over Washington. Pretty easy one there. Got the Jacksonville Jaguars game right over Carolina as well. Did get Miami, though, wrong against Baltimore. Predicted an upset. Miami didn't handle their business in that one. I did get the Seattle Seahawks game right, though, over the wrong. Over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Very frustrating as a Seahawks fan. They've got to figure things out, but lose that one. Did get the Chargers one wrong over Denver. Denver at home got the job done. Did get Kansas City Chiefs right over Cincinnati in a close battle there to eliminate the Bengals. And then finally on Sunday Night Football, another wrong prediction. The Vikings pull off the win over Green Bay, or other way around. The Green Bay Packers pull off the win over the Vikings. Sorry, I've just been off in this first part. But anyway, that is everything. I do go 8-8 on the week. Not great. My record now is 162-94. So if I want my goal to stay under 100 losses, I really need to step it up in these Week 18 picks. So before we get into this Week 18 picks, I just kind of want to take a little bit of a rundown of the path to the playoffs for every team that's not eliminated yet. I'm just going to kind of scroll through this that I made, take some look at some things. Obviously, we know the Dolphins-Bills game is critical. If whoever wins that one gets the second seed, whoever loses that one, unfortunately, the Dolphins would go to the 6th seed, and the Bills could even get eliminated if they lose it. So it's a big game between those two for sure. The AFC South is also big. If you look at the Jaguars, Colts, Texans, there's a lot of craziness. If you look at the Colts, if either one of those, Colts and Texans, lose, they're eliminated. Whoever wins that game is basically a lock to make the postseason. So interesting to see how that's going to play out. It's going to be a win and in scenario, and they could even get the 4 seed if the Jaguars lose to Tennessee, which would be very interesting to say the least. And then you obviously have the Steelers in the mix there. They need a lot to go right for them to make the playoffs. They have to beat the Ravens or else they're eliminated. In the NFC side of things, the Niners, clinched the 1 seed. The AFC or the NFC East, interesting. The Cowboys trying to lock that up with the win. If the Eagles get a win and then Dallas lost or tied, the Eagles would take over that. So interesting how the NFC East is playing out. Look at Detroit. They're trying to climb up. Buccaneers. The NFC South is interesting. You look at it's about a 3-way race between the Buccaneers, the Saints, and then all the way down here, the Falcons. The Buccaneers, if they win, they got the 4 seed. If they lose, they are eliminated. So it's a must-win game. The Saints need to win as well, and then the Falcons if they win. So Saints and Falcons need the Bucs to lose, and then one of them has to win to make it into the 4 seed. The Saints can still make the wild card. Falcons cannot, though. So key thing there. Then for the wild card spots, Rams have clinched it up, but they can actually move down to the 7 seed if the Rams lose and Green Bay wins. Green Bay just needs to win to get that 7 seed. And then obviously if they want to jump to the 6 seed, they need San Francisco to beat the Rams. Seattle would need a win and then a Green Bay loss to make the postseason. The Saints would need we know what they would need to get the 4 seed, but if they want to get the 7 seed, they need a lot to go right with a Seahawks and Packers loss, and same for the Vikings. You see that lengthy list. They would need a win versus Detroit, a Tampa Bay loss, a New Orleans loss, a Seattle loss, and a Green Bay loss. So it's not great for sure. Tampa Bay loss or New Orleans loss, key word there. But anyway, let's get into these predictions here. Sorry, not that one, but week 18. So I did do this earlier, but then it kind of cut off and didn't let me save my predictions. So I'm just going to roll through these and predict what I have. Starting out with the Steelers-Ravens, it's going to be an interesting one. Ravens are coming into the playoffs, resting some players. They're not going to want it as much. If you look at the Steelers coming into this one, they're coming off a big win versus Seattle. Obviously, we know what they need to do. They need to win to get in the playoffs. Can they do it? I think they do. I think they do beat Baltimore. It's a rivalry game. It's scrappy. Steelers always play the Ravens close. I think Pittsburgh gets the better of Baltimore this week. And unfortunately, the Ravens will fall to 13-4, but that game doesn't matter for them. Jackson's going to be resting as well as some good key pieces for that team. All right, the big one here. We have the Texans-Colts matchup here. This one is massive. As I mentioned, the winner will get into the playoffs. So if you're a Texans-Colts fan, you got to be excited for that one. A lot of people are counting out the Colts in this one, and I'm going to agree with them. I think C.J. Stroud and this Texans team has played a little bit better this year, a little bit more consistent. We've seen the Colts the past 5-ish weeks. They've been just a little bit of an inconsistent team here. But maybe the good part of the inconsistency will show up today. I do think that it'll be a close game. But I'm going to go with Houston. I'm going to trust D'Amico Ryans and that Texans defense a little bit more than I do that Colts defense. And I think C.J. Stroud will outperform Gardner Minshew. So give me Houston in this one. But, Indianapolis Colts has a good core too. I could see them coming out with this win. And it's being played in Indianapolis. So expect a close one there. Okay, down here, a meaningless matchup. The Browns have locked up the 5 seed. The Bengals are eliminated, so it's just pride here. I am going to go with Cincinnati in this one. I think that Browning's going to play for his life, his career. He's going to battle it out. The Browns' defense is going to come to play, but I do think playing in Cincinnati, these weapons for the Bengals, will come out. They'll cap off a disappointing season with a win. And the Browns, it doesn't matter. As I said, they will be the 5 seed playing one of the NFC South teams come playoff time. Okay, down here we have the Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Again, meaningless. Well, not meaningless, actually. The Vikings could make the playoffs, so they want to win this one. But they looked horrible last week. I'm going to go with Detroit. This team needs a win after that performance. After that performance they put up and then rightfully got the game, or unrightfully so, got the game stripped away from them by the refs. Dan Campbell's unit, I think, is going to come out just adding fuel to the fire and go crazy on on Minnesota. And the Lions, I think, pull off this win. Vikings do need it. They'll come to play. But the way they looked last week, I don't expect them to win this one. So give me the Lions. All right, Jaguars, Tennessee Titans. I am going with the Jacksonville Jaguars in this one, but I could see Tennessee coming out the win. A big part of it is Trevor Lawrence is expected to play in this one, so expect a Trevor Lawrence-led football team to come out, get a must-win game to clinch up the playoff spot. The Titans, they would want nothing more than to eliminate Jacksonville, but I think that this Titans team is just a little bit too inconsistent this year and too many penalties on that roster that they've had this season. So I am going to go with the Jaguars to win that one and clinch up the NFC South for the second straight year. Pretty crazy a world we live in that the Jaguars are winning this division consistently. All right, next up we have the Jets taking on New England. Big game. Sarcastically big game between the AFC East. It's a rivalry game. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go with New England. This team, I think, has been much more competitive than the Jets have in the past few weeks. I think that's the main reason. The Jets might come to play. They might show their defense what they've got, but I'm going to go with New England in this one. I like the competitiveness. They're fighting for Bill Belichick right now. And I think that they ruined their draft pick even more. So give me the Patriots to win that one. All right, next up, big game in the NFC South to determine who could potentially get this NFC South crown. The Falcons, Saints here. I am going to go with New Orleans. As you can see there, kind of ruins the suspense when these picks are already made. But, I'm doing my best here. But I am going to go with the Saints. I do think this team is better. They played a lot better last week. The Falcons just looked really bad last week. Taylor Heineke's been very inconsistent in his time, really all his career, basically. And then you look at the Saints team. This is a good defense. They've got a good secondary. It's a weird team. They're also very inconsistent. They just come off with a big win. I'm going to bet on them at home to get this one. But I wouldn't be too shocked if this is a close game. Next up, we have the Buccaneers and the Panthers. Give me Tampa Bay in this one. I know that the Buccaneers struggled last week, but Carolina Panthers struggled even more against the Jacksonville Jaguars offensively. Bryce Young, they want nothing more, again, like I said with a lot of these teams, to eliminate a Buccaneers team. I mean, Panthers don't even care about draft position because they traded away. But if you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, this is a team that wants to get the job done, wants to, make the playoffs, and for the second straight year, or third, fourth, I think. A lot of years in a row, and this time with Baker Mayfield. So good Buccaneers team there, good defense. I think they handled business against the bad Carolina Panthers. All right, and then we have an upset here, a big one between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. I'm actually going to go with the Bears. I think this Bears team has played a lot better football than Green Bay has the past month or so. Don't let last week fool you. This Packers team, but besides that game, hasn't been great. Going back to that Giants game, you look at the Panthers game, almost blow that one, some other games in there. It's just been a weird Green Bay Packers team. They got the better of Minnesota, but I'm not going to count on Joe Barry and this defense to get the job done here. Justin Fields is playing really good football. He's playing for his job in Chicago, I think, these past few weeks, as well as Matt Eberflus, and that defense has really stepped it up, especially Montez Sweat down there. So the Bears are playing good football right now, and guess what? They want nothing more than to upset Green Bay. So I'm going to count on the Bears, actually, in this one to pull off the win. I know it's being played in Lambeau Field. I mean, as a Seahawks fan, it works out perfectly. So give me the Chicago Bears to pull off the upset. All right, next up, meaningless AFC West matchup besides rivalry pride here. We got the Raiders taking on the Denver Broncos. Broncos could have a winning season if they win this one for the first time since 2016. So Broncos have some things to play for. That defense has some things to play for. It's a decent unit, but without Russell Wilson, I just don't trust that team. Also, the Raiders are playing for Antonio Pierce, especially that defense. He's had that defense going. Played another good week against the Colts. So I think this is going to be a run-heavy game between two mediocre teams to bad teams. But I think that the Raiders pull this one off and get the win over Denver. Okay, next up, we have the Eagles-Giants. This is an upset game here. That could happen. We just saw them lose to the Cardinals, and the Giants played them close the previous week. But I am going to go with the Eagles here in this one. I do think this team is better. I think this team will figure things out. They have to at this point in order for them to have a chance in the postseason. It's against a bad Giants team, but the Giants have been playing competitive. So you never know what can happen. I'm going to trust Nick Sirianni and this Eagles team to figure things out, play like the level they had earlier this year, and pull off the win. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Seahawks, big game. They need to win this one. And with my prediction, with the Bears winning, if they win this one, they're in the playoffs. So, interesting game. I am going to go with the Seattle Seahawks here in this one. I know Arizona's coming off an upset, but I just don't trust that Cardinals defense. I think they're playing their hearts out, but with Jonathan Gannon, but I don't think it's enough. Kyler Murray's playing good football. They're going to try and run the football up the Seahawks' throat. I think Seattle needs to figure that out right here. I think they will. This is a better team. I think this will be probably more of a high-scoring game, but give me the Seahawks to pull off the win over Arizona. Next up, we have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the LA Chargers. Give me the Chiefs in this one. I like this this Chargers, team. They're playing for each other, but it's not going to be enough. It's a meaningless game for either team. I think the Chiefs want to get to that 11-win mark, get some momentum heading into the postseason. I don't think it will be enough, though, for LA. Even with the Chiefs resting players, I do think Kansas City is the better team. So give me them to pull off this one. And then next up, we have the Niners versus the Rams. San Francisco playing decent football right now. Obviously, beating Washington. I know they got crushed by the Commanders, but they're obviously a dominant NFC team at this point. And then if you look at the Rams, it's been a red-hot team. They're trying to lock up this 6th seed at this point in the season. I am going to go with San Francisco, though, in this one. I know the Rams, the Niners are resting a lot of their pieces, but also are the Rams, they're resting Stafford in this one. So they're locked in the playoffs. They don't want to risk Stafford getting injured here, which makes sense, but I do think it's going to cost them a loss. Fortunately, with the Bears winning, it won't matter. The Rams do make the postseason then, but give me the Niners to win this one. And then finishing it off, I am going to go with the Cowboys over the Commanders. Not much analysis there. I don't even know who would be starting quarterback for the Commanders in this one. Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett. I don't think it's going to matter. Give me Dallas to clinch up this 2 seed in a win over Washington. Finishing it off, though, we have the Buffalo Bills take it on Miami. The big one, the big game for the AFC East. Whoever wins this one gets the 2 seed. Bills, if they lose this one, they could be out of the postseason entirely. So it's a massive game. I am going to go with the Buffalo Bills, though, in this one. I think this team is playing better football as of late. I know they looked bad against New England and almost lost to the Chargers. But that's just how the Bills kind of roll. When they've played these big games, they have for sure showed up. I expect nothing less from Josh Allen and this Bills team. I think they're going to come out swinging, throw a hard punch to Miami, and I don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to recover, but I could see this one going either way. So give me the Bills. And before we wrap up this video today, let's take a look at what everything would come together with our final picks in this playoff machine. So in the AFC side of things, we would have the Baltimore Ravens obviously as the 1 seed there, the Buffalo Bills sitting at the 2 seed, Kansas City would be the 3 seed, Jacksonville at the 4, and then the wild card teams would be Cleveland, Miami, and Houston. So teams missing out on the AFC, Colts and Steelers, 2 teams that were trying to fight for the postseason, but unfortunately wouldn't make it. I know the Steelers won, but as I mentioned, they would need a A Jacksonville Jaguars loss to get them in there, if you see there. Yep, there you go. And then it wouldn't matter. So the Steelers really can only have a Jacksonville Jaguars loss there. So it's not looking great for Pittsburgh, but let's kind of take a look at these matchups in the wild card round if this all played out. We have the 2-seed Bills taking on the 7-seed Texans. That one would be honestly interesting. I know the Bills have been a good team this year, but against those good teams, but Bills, I think, could be a team that gets upset. We've seen it this season before. This team's just been a little bit inconsistent when the time matters. So, when they're not when the time matters, but when they are the favorites. So, could be an upset. Interesting to see if that one plays out. It could obviously, if Miami wins, we see what would happen here. So actually, yeah, if the Bills lose, they would need the Dolphins to win, and then the Bills would lose, and they would miss out on the playoffs. So Bills actually really would need to win this one. I wonder what would happen if the Colts won. Yeah, the Colts would make it as the 6th seed. So interesting. Buffalo really needs that one then, but we're going to go with the Bills, though. So Bills, that's crazy. You can go from the 2 seed all the way down to missing the playoffs. That is wild. But moving on, the 3 seed versus the 6 seed. We would have the Chiefs-Dolphins, a rematch of the Germany matchup. Very fun one there. That high-powered Dolphins offense down in Arrowhead. Rematch, Tyreek Hill return game. That one would be fun. And then we have the Jaguars-Browns, 4 seed versus a 5 seed. Another interesting game. I know these two just met a few, 4-ish weeks ago or something. Browns won that one pretty handily. Could it be different, though, down in Jacksonville? You never know. Trevor Lawrence maybe could get some things going. I do think the Browns would be favorites in that matchup, though, in that way. But moving on, the NFC side of things, we have the Niners, obviously, as the 1 seed. Dallas clinches that 2 seed. Detroit at the 3 seed. Tampa Bay as that 4 seed. And then the 5 seed would be Philadelphia. 6 seed Los Angeles. And then the 7 seed Seattle. So that means Green Bay misses it. The Vikings miss it. Falcons miss it. Saints miss it despite the wins. So interesting things going on there. Let's take a look at these matchups. Dallas-Seattle, another one of these games, an interesting 2 versus a 7 seed matchup. Dallas's playoff history. These two just met like a month or so ago, 5-ish games ago. And guess what? The Seahawks almost beat the Cowboys. Were leading for most of the game. Unfortunately, in Dallas as well. Unfortunately, didn't get it done, but I could see that one going either which way if we see that one. And then we have the Rams-Detroit, 6-seeded Rams team versus the 3-seed Detroit team. Another very fun matchup. If you look at Stafford coming back to Detroit to take on Jared Goff, Jared Goff's former team, obviously the Rams from that trade. Some battles there for sure between some players' former teams. So it would be very fun to see what would happen in that matchup. I think that one would be a good one. I think the Rams, with the way they're playing, could pull off the upset. And then finishing it off, we have the 5-seeded Philadelphia Eagles taking on the 4-seeded Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you look at the Eagles, way they're playing, they've been struggling. Tampa Bay didn't play great against the Saints, but the previous few weeks have played really good football. So another one of those games where we could see a massive upset with the Buccaneers. I know they're the higher seed. That's just because of the NFC South. The Buccaneers pulling off a massive win over Philadelphia. We'd have to see how that goes. So, honestly, guys, I would really like these wildcard matches if we get them. I think this could be some very exciting football. But, yeah. So, anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed the content. Comment down below your predictions. Anyway, guys, peace out.